Welcome to today's Explainer. We're about to try a really fascinating exercise to make sense of our rapidly changing world. We're going to take 15 distinct global headlines, all reported on a single, highly volatile day, August 1st, 2026, and distill them down into a structured overview. When you map out a single day of global news like this, you actually get a crystal clear picture of a world in profound flux. We're talking everything from massive geopolitical negotiations to devastating natural disasters and even a monumental shakeup in the business of global sports. So today, we're connecting the dots to see exactly how fragile and how incredibly interconnected our daily lives really are.
Okay, let's jump right into the agenda. We'll kick things off with the Middle East crossroads, then look at the escalation in Eastern Europe. After that, we'll examine global borders and security, review some worldwide disasters and emergencies, and finally, wrap things up with a massive pivot in global sports and infrastructure.
Starting with Section 1, the Middle East crossroads, looking at both escalation and diplomacy.
Right now, the Middle East is defined by this really striking paradox. On the one hand, the security environment is severe. We've got U.S. embassies across Middle Eastern capitals issuing urgent travel advisories, literally telling American citizens to depart due to sudden escalation risks. But then, on the exact same day, we see an unprecedented step toward peace. Negotiators confirmed a new structural proposal under the Board of Peace framework. It's a huge deal. Under this plan, Hamas actually agreed to begin handing over weapons to a neutral Palestinian governing committee in exchange for the gradual withdrawal of Israeli forces. It is just a stunning contrast, isn't it? Immediate physical danger clashing directly with a foundational blueprint for a ceasefire.
And if we look a bit closer at the military escalations happening on the ground, the volatility is absolutely off the charts. It's already hitting the global energy grid. For instance, an LNG tanker, the Gaslog Shanghai, carrying Qatari natural gas, was just hit by unknown projectiles right in the Strait of Hormuz. At the same time, Kuwaiti defense forces had to intercept and shoot down multiple incoming Iranian drone swarms that were trying to cross into national airspace toward critical infrastructure. Oh, and down in southern Lebanon? Despite an active ceasefire being in place, the IDF confirmed an overnight operation that killed several Hezbollah fighters.
Moving right along to Section 2, escalation in Eastern Europe, focusing on the Russo-Ukrainian war.
The sheer human and economic toll of this war is moving fast on dual fronts, all within a single 24-hour window. Over in Kyiv, a heavy, overnight Russian missile barrage targeted the Ukrainian capital. Tragically, it killed at least 9 people, injured 24, and set residential properties ablaze. But the conflict is also raging in the maritime theater of the Black Sea. Ukrainian naval units actually managed to sink a commercial container vessel owned by the Russian state firm Rosatom, forcing 17 crew members to abandon ship. It really paints a stark picture of how this conflict is being fought at the exact same time in civilian centers and strategic waterways.
Now, behind the scenes of those battlefield developments, we also got wind of some major geopolitical gridlock today. Reporting came out disclosing that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu previously blocked requests from U.S. lawmakers to transfer American-owned Iron Dome air defense batteries over to Ukraine. This is a really key piece of information. It perfectly highlights how interconnected global military alliances are. Think about it. Domestic policies in one region can literally dictate the air defense capabilities of a nation fighting a war on an entirely different continent.
All right, Section 3, global borders and security, focusing on localized fractures.
Shifting our focus away from state-on-state warfare, we are seeing global security deeply fracture at the local level today. In Russia, a suspected terrorist attack tore through a Moscow coffeehouse, killing at least 3 people and injuring 21. Then, over in Latin America, a massive truck bomb detonated right next to a police command center in Cucuta, Colombia, leaving 14 injured. And if we zoom in on the European migration crisis, Moroccan forces violently clashed with hundreds of migrants who were forcibly trying to scale security barriers to get into the Spanish enclave of Melilla. We're talking different continents, completely different contexts, but they all reflect a profound, real-time strain on local security forces.
Next up, Section 4, worldwide disasters and emergencies, looking at tragedies and infrastructure.
Okay, before we dive into today's major emergencies, we need a quick bit of context. The Nazca Lines. If you don't know, these are a group of massive, ancient, pre-Columbian geoglyphs etched into the desert sands in southern Peru. Because of their sheer, massive scale, people usually view them from above, which draws heavy sightseeing air traffic from tourists in small aircraft.
With that in mind, today really brought home the extreme fragility of human life, as well as our critical systems. In Pakistan, rescue authorities confirmed a devastating avalanche on Broad Peak claimed the lives of 10 mountaineers. Tragically, this included the world-renowned high-altitude climber Nirmo Persia. Over in Peru, that sightseeing context we just talked about turned into a tragedy when a flight crashed shortly after takeoff near the Nazca Lines, killing all 13 tourists on board. Meanwhile, we saw a massive infrastructure failure in Cuba. A Western grid transmission failure triggered a power collapse that literally plunged the western provinces of the country into complete darkness.
Finally, Section 5, Global Sports and Infrastructure, and a massive pivot. $20 billion. That is a massive financial figure, and it definitely grabs your attention, right? Well, this number represents a highly controversial commercial equity plan that was originally proposed by FIFA. It was a deal that would have completely, forever, altered the financial infrastructure of international soccer.
But that deal is now officially dead. It's a huge testament to the sheer power of regional pushback against global corporate initiatives. Today, FIFA President Gianni Infantino formally abandoned that $20 billion plan to sell off commercial stakes in future World Cup tournaments. So why the sudden turnaround? Well, widespread resistance from regional football federations and some very real boycott threats from Europe basically forced the most powerful governing body in all of sports to completely scrap the massive private equity deal.
So, as we wrap up today's explainer, it leaves us with one vital question. Just how resilient is our globally connected world? Think about everything we just covered. From tanker strikes threatening energy supplies in the Strait of Hormuz, to tragic avalanches claiming international climbing icons, to a $20 billion sports equity deal getting scrapped, all unfolding in the exact same 24-hour window. We really have to ask ourselves, are we prepared for a world where a localized fracture on one continent sends immediate shockwaves to another? The news isn't just a list of random events anymore, it's a web. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and I highly encourage you to keep questioning how all these dots connect in your own daily life.